Europe had a first age of enlightenment in the 17th, 18th centuries, inspired by philosophers like Descartes, Spinoza, Kant. Today, Europe has entered the second age of enlightenment, as fiber has become a priority everywhere. Now also Europe is moving, the whole world is rolling out ultra-broadband networks. Fiber rollouts got stimulated upon the arrival of challengers, new entrants aiming to grab their share of the ultra-broadband business. Investment funds direct heaps of money to laying out fiber infrastructures, trusting it will bring prosperous return. Fast. Because fiber brings unlimited capacity to the benefit of economies, education, entertainment, to everything. Communication networks are life. Needless to remind how the COVID pandemic has only accelerated ultra-broadband demand, leading operators who had already rolled out fiber in big volume to date to upgrade their networks to higher sustained fiber speeds. I will talk about Nokia's fixed network strategy, which in fact encompasses the 4 key trends in the fixed broadband access industry and logically drives our portfolio evolution. We refer to our strategy as Broadband Zero, and it has 4 easy-to-remember pillars. Number 1. Zero Left Behind is about connecting everyone and everything. It involves using fiber and fixed wireless solutions to connect every home and every building. It means using meshed Wi-Fi to connect everyone and everything inside the home, because it makes little sense to boost the capacity of your last mile if people suffer poor Wi-Fi experience beyond the doorstep. It helps operators design, deploy, and operate networks. Number 2. Zero Limits is all about innovative technologies that defy the laws of physics and enable new use cases and new business cases. It focuses on evolving to 25 gig for business services and 5G transport. It brings new app-enabling devices in the home to support new services and revenue streams. It provides smart approaches to making fixed wireless with millimeter wave affordable. Number 3. Zero Touch focuses on automating and optimizing the network. And number 4, underpinning all of this is zero waste. The benefits of broadband for individuals and society cannot be underestimated. But if we don't find new ways to deliver these benefits sustainably, the ICT industry will never be part of the solution. And that would be a huge waste of opportunity. I will now double-click on these trends. Let's start with Zero Limits. 20 years ago, we saw fiber standards come and go, until GPON became dominant and remained for over a decade. Now we are at an important turning point. Accelerated by the COVID pandemic, the transformation of GPON to 10 gig PON with XGS-PON technology has started and will dictate the agenda for the next years. And even 25 gig PON is possible now. With it, you can offer true 10 gig symmetrical offerings to business customers and optimize the cost of 5G small cell transport. By the way, the discussion really isn't about 25 gig versus 50 gig. 25 gig is about better 10G, and the beauty is you already have it on your 10 gig network. Customers like Proximus, Openreach, Delta Fiber, KPN, Telecom Italia, they've been exploring the possibilities that are brought by deploying 10 gig and getting 25 gig. This works because the same multi-PON solution that allows you to introduce 10 gig in your GPON network also allows you to introduce 25 gig just by inserting the corresponding optical modules. The result is a 10 gig solution that is backward compatible and future ready. And what about the future? Well, this year we conducted a trial with a new passive optical network technology with Vodafone that can deliver speeds up to 100 gigabits per second on a single wavelength, making it 10 times faster than the most advanced networks available today. 100 gig PON won't be commercialized anytime soon, but it does illustrate the runway of fiber networks. The great thing about fiber is that we can just keep increasing speeds. Once you build a fiber network, it will last for generations. To say that home technology has been turbocharged by the pandemic would be an understatement. The pendulum will swing a little, and we're bound to see an enthusiastic return to the office when that's possible. But long term, home working, along with home entertainment, education, and more, will continue to increase from pre-COVID levels. Are we ready? What about the challenges of introducing new applications? From enhanced privacy and VPN services to essential cybersecurity for small office and home office workers, gamers, and others, without having to update the broadband device's firmware. Nokia is proud we have launched our new application containers for service providers recently. These give service providers pretty much the same flexibility to install new applications as we've all become used to in installing applications on a smartphone. Nokia's application containers create monetization opportunities for CSPs. And they're great for end users too, because they save having to install these apps on every client device. Imagine introducing deep packet inspection actually in the CPE. Imagine implementing a firewall on the CPE itself to halt an attack at entry before it even goes to the network. Imagine being able to implement slices on the CPE to prioritize Wi-Fi traffic. The application containers present a vast range of opportunities. We support application containers on some of our premium broadband devices. This includes certain residential gateway ONTs, our newest fast-mile 5G gateway, and the Nokia Wi-Fi Beacon 6. On top of the mesh middleware, we build an abstraction layer to make the application containers lightweight. That's an improvement on virtual machines that have their own operating system on top of the host operating system. The application support function allocates the right resources, like CPU and memory, and creates the runtime environment for the containers. Our service provider customers will have an app server, just like the App Store on a smartphone, to host the containers, which will come from expert third-party developers, like F-Secure or Broadpeak. Using an automatic configuration server, the service provider can then install or uninstall apps on the end user's broadband devices through simple commands. For service providers looking for a way to win back a part of the services market that is now largely held by hyperscalers like Google, Amazon, and Apple, this is an exciting and lucrative opportunity. If networks are live, our industry has a responsibility to work with governments and others to make sure digital inclusion is continually increased. But we also have a responsibility to ensure that broadband access isn't just theoretical for end users. The value of 5G for fixed wireless access is clear. And as fixed wireless access networks grow, additional spectrum will be needed. Using millimeter wave for fixed wireless access can be a game changer, particularly in dense urban environments, because it brings great speeds and high capacity. So operators are interested in using millimeter wave from base stations as a capacity overlay on existing LTE grids. This would then feed subscribers who are close, while freeing sub-6 GHz band for larger distance use. However, millimeter wave also brings challenges. To summarize these in layman's terms, we need to solve three problems: the weak signal, the random direction, and the tendency of things like walls, windows, furniture, and people to get in the way. Solving this challenge requires a very high gain antenna device that can be integrated into 5G fixed wireless access CPEs. This needs to be able to use and amplify even a very weak signal. It needs to be able to identify and make use of the strongest signal it can find. And it needs to optimize to cope with change in surrounding. Who wants to sit still after all, so as not to disturb the Wi-Fi? Nokia has built just such a device in both indoor and outdoor versions, and we're trialing it now. It can pick up signals from a 360-degree field of view, allowing it to make use of millimeter wave signals from any direction or directions simultaneously. It dynamically adapts to the changing environment, for example, someone moving around in a building. And because it is designed for consumer use, it is self-enabling for easy installation. It's compact and it's highly cost-effective. As networks grow in complexity to support more services, operators across the globe start looking at the cloud and software-defined networks to simplify the operation of the network. Think of zero-touch provisioning, intent-based configuration, making abstraction of technology layers and vendor mix, or even the more advanced network slicing. We can all agree that zero-touch, fully autonomous networks are the future. However, getting there from here is not so easy. New network builds are one thing, but how should we deal with the millions of broadband connections that are already in the field today? That's why Nokia provides a phased transition path to SDN rather than a big bang that enables operators to introduce our solution at their own pace. And it enables specific use cases that make sense in a multi-vendor network or a multi-technology environment supporting FTTH, FTTX, and 5G. Intent-based networking allows us to do things differently. It puts the customer before the network, evolves service-level agreements to service-level autonomics, and puts operators in complete control of their SDAN evolution path and speed. As an industry, we in ICT might feel quite pleased with our environmental record. Maybe we think about heavy manufacturing, chemicals, or even transportation, and consider ourselves quite clean. Unfortunately, the truth is rather different. According to the European Commission, the ICT industry is responsible for about 2% of global greenhouse gas emissions. That's the equivalent of all air traffic. Looking deeper, we can see that the vast majority of those emissions come from power consumption in use. So let's start there. Our Quillion chip helps us to slash power consumption by half compared to previous product generations. That's already a good start, but of course we're not stopping there. Another area in which we are making a lot of progress is in reducing waste, in line with our zero waste aspiration. We are optimizing the packaging materials we use, which makes for more efficient transportation, reducing our overall carbon footprint. We're also investigating new kinds of environmentally friendly packaging, including biodegradable and recyclable materials. Finally, we're stepping up our design for recycling. For example, our new beacons have just 4 major components. They can be easily disassembled, and 70% of the parts, they can be recycled. But there's more. If the ICT industry, our industry, is responsible for around 2% of global greenhouse gas emissions, we should consider that the European Commission also remarked that our industry, including broadband, could in fact be an enabler of a 15% reduction of global emissions by 2030. From smart agriculture to Industry 4.0 and smart manufacturing, to smart grids to remote working, digitalization can contribute enormously to lowering fossil fuel consumption by reducing transportation, improving productivity, reducing waste, and boosting efficiency. And we can do that while at the same time helping societies to use resources wisely, lift people out of poverty, and improve living standards for everyone. The environmental benefits of digitalization are at their greatest when there is innovative cross-collaboration in creating tools and solutions. Nokia is enthusiastic about working with companies across the ICT industry and in any number of other industries to create, develop, and implement use cases that will contribute to zero waste of all kinds of resources. Technology has finally got a seat at the top table. Companies, governments, and individuals commonly look to our industry to provide some of the answers to the biggest challenges our societies face today. Zero broadband is a great way to sum up the contributions broadband can make, from bridging the digital divide to driving down CO2 emissions globally. We can do this by focusing on technology and innovation to create more efficient and effective products and solutions, and by using the most advanced technologies to automate and optimize the networks for the best possible footprint and performance. Absolute zero, as we know, can only ever be a theoretical point. But zero left behind, zero limits, zero touch, and zero waste are goals that, while challenging, are within our reach as a company, as an industry, as a society.